Polygraphy. The term polygraphy was derived from the Greek words poly, which means consisting of more than one, or simply many, and graphene or graphus, which means to write. It means the original Greek meaning for polygraph is many writing. Polygraph, a scientific diagnostic instrument used to record physiological changes in the blood pressure, pulse rate, respiration, and the skin resistance of an examiner under controlled condition. Thomas Jefferson, 1790, was the first person known to use the term polygraph to describe one of his invention which could repeat words. The two types of polygraph instrument. First is conventional or analog, the old and traditional type of instrument being used in polygraph today. The second is computerized polygraph, a sophisticated state-of-art computer-aided polygraph instrument.
Cardiosphygmograph. It was designed to detect changes in blood pressure and pulse rate of the subject. It is also made up of blood pressure, cuff sphygmomanometer, pump valve, assembly resonance control, and unit centering control, vent, and recording pen. Pneumograph components. It is designed to detect changes in respiration of subject. Its major components are the pneumograph chest assembly and recording unit. Galvanograph components. Its primary function is to detect changes or alternation in skin resistance of the subject. It is made up of finger electrode, recording pen unit, and amplifier unit. Chemograph components. Primary serves as the paper feed mechanism of polygraph machine. It is the device that records the different tracing by driving the paper out under a recording pin unit. It pulls or drives the chart paper under a recording pin unit. Analog machine parts. Pin lifter. Raises the lower parts to 3 position. Program pacer. A programmable queuing device for question and answer facing. Paper tear bar. Provides cutting edge for convenient removable of charts. Foam pen hold down. Keeps pen in place when the instrument is being transported. Compartment. Storage of all forms and subject connection. Stylish grouping provides neat professional appearance. Mechanical pneumo module. Recording part of technical pneumono channel. Galvanic skin response module. Recording part of GSR channel. Mechanical cardio module. Recording part of the mechanical cardio module. Paper storage receptacle. Power cords connect here. International standard design for AC cord replacement. Power switch and circuit breaker. Applies power to the instrument. Chart drive roller lever. Simple press off and then on again. Power analyzer. Automatically indicates whether wall outlets are properly wired and grounded for proper instrument's operation. Sphygmomanometer dial. Reads operating pressure of cardio channel. Pneumo 1. Pneumatic connection for upper thoracic pneumograph. Pneumo 2. Pneumatic connection for lower abdominal pneumograph. Cuff. Pneumatic connection for car channel subjects cuff tubing. Pump. Pneumatic connection for hand pump used to inflate the subject cuff.
Good afternoon, this is Arilan Mendoza, B-Scrim 3F, and this is my assignment topic. Important personalities and polygraph and their great contributions. The polygraph, are most commonly known as a lie detector, has been in existence in the police science many years ago. Tracing back its beginning, one may find out that there are several persons instrumental in the development of the polygraph. Instrument as we know it today. Recording changes is respiration, galvanic skin response, or GSR, or electrodermal activity, or EDA, and cardiovascular activity. First is Daniel Defoe. He wrote an essay entitled An Effectual Scheme for the Immediate Preventing of the Street Robberies and Suppressing All Other Disorders of the Night, where he suggested the use of the pulse to detect deception. Second is Angelo Musso. He studied fear and its influence on the heart. In his observations subsequently formed the basis of detecting technique, uh, plethysmograph. He devised a scientific cradle which was designed to measure the flow of the blood while a person lay on his back in a prone position as it became non-concentrated on one part of the body and then in the other. Next is Cesar Lombroso. Employed the first scientific instrument to detect deception. The instrument is known as the hydrospigmograph, which measures changes in pulse and blood pressures when suspects were asked about their involvement on or knowledge of specific response. He was accorded the distinction of being the first person to utilize an instrument for the purpose of detecting lies. 4. William James Mackenzie, a famous English heart specialist who first described the polygraph machine as the ink polygraph. 5. William Moulton Marston, 1915, the self-proclaimed father of the polygraph, conducted more numerous tests for detecting deceptions utilizing the changes of systolic deception and develops his own method of reading systolic blood pressure. He also recorded the respiration and noted the time of subject verbal responses. He also experimented with galvanometer to record skin resistance changes and gripping device to record tension. Next is John A. Larson. In 1921, developed an instrument capable of simultaneously and continuously recording blood pressure, pulse rate, and respiration. His invention was designated as the bread lie detector. He was credited as forerunner of modern polygraph, father of scientific lie detection, and father of polygraphy. Next, 7. Vittorio Binosi. In 1914, discovered a method of calculating the quotient of the inhalation to exhalation as means of verifying the truth and detecting deception of the subject. He demonstrated the changes in systolic blood pressure were of greater value in determining deception than in changes in respiration. 8. Harold Barth in 1918 determined that the respiratory changes were signs of deception and included that systolic pressure changes are valuable in determining deception. 9. Luigi Galvani in 1791, an Italian psychologist who developed the galvanic skin reflex. The GSR reflected emotional changes by measuring changes in person's skin resistance to electricity. 10. Sticker. In 1895, he made the first galvanograph for detecting deception based from the work of his predecessor and introduced the method of detecting from the galvanic impression on the chart tracing. He worked on the influence and relation of the sweat glands to skin resistance. 11. Viergot. 1907, he was the first one to use the term psycho-galvanic reflex. He believes that the electrical phenomenon is due to the activity of sweat glands. 12. Richard O. Arthur. He developed an improvised polygraph machine with two galvanic skin resistance. 13. Clive Baxter. In 1960, he created the numerical scoring on the polygraph chart and standardizing quantitative polygraph technique. He developed the Baxter-Jones comparison test. 14. Leonard Keeler. In 1925, an American psychologist invented a more satisfactory instrument than the one used by Larson. Later on, Keeler made additional changes in the instrument, and at the time of his death in 1949, the Keeler polygraph included an additional 2 unit for recordings, blood pressure, pulse, and respiration changes. A galvanometer for recording what is known as the galvanic skin reflex or electrodermal responses, generally referred to as the GSR. He also introduced the card test and the peak of tension test, the father of the modern polygraphy. 15. John A. Reed. 1947, he developed improvement with the conventional polygraph by incorporating muscular resistance. His device was known as the Reed polygraph. In 1950, he developed the control questions, which consists of a non-lie and incorporated it into the relevant techniques. Other contributors for the evolution of polygraphy. American Polygraph Association. In 1966, the American Polygraph Association, or APA, was established. At present, it consists of over 2,500 members dedicated to providing a valid and reliable means to verify truth the establish the highest standard of moral, ethical, and professional conduct in the polygraph field. The APA continues to be the leading polygraph professional association, establishing standards of ethical practices, techniques, instrumentation, research, and advanced training and continuing educational programs. University of Utah Research. The University of Utah researchers introduced computer-assisted polygraph techniques in the early 1980s, and they remain the forefront of development and instrumentation and analytic methods for computerized polygraph system. The methods for quantifications of psychological reactions are based on more than 30 years of scientific and field experiences by Dr. David C. Raskin and Dr. John C. Kircher. In 1998, they developed the Computer-Assisted Polygraph System, or CAPS, which incorporated the first algorithm to be used for evaluating psychological data collected for diagnostic purposes. PolyScore, an objective scoring system. In 1993, statisticians Dr. Dale E. Olsen and John Harris of Johns Hopkins University Applied Physics Laboratory, Maryland, completed a software program called the PolyScore, which uses sophisticated mathematical algorithm to analyze the polygraph data and to estimate a probability or degree of deception or truthfulness in a subject. Department of Energy. In 2003, the U.S. Department of Energy commissioned a review committee of the National Academy of Science to study the scientific evidence on the polygraph, withstanding more than a century of research, development, and widespread use. The polygraph examinations remains the most effective means of verifying the truth and detecting deception. Dr. Joseph F. Corbes, 1970, of Fordham University in New York City, is the first researcher who used potential computer applications for the purpose of polygraph. Chart analysis. Chart or polygrams refers to the composite records of the pneumograph, galvanograph, and cardiopneumograph tracing recorded from one series of questions.
A pleasant afternoon to each and everyone. By the way, I am Hanini Miano, and this afternoon I am going to share with you the theories of polygraph examinations. So, do you know that polygraph examinations is basically based on the idea that when a person lies, there are psychological changes that occur in their body, which can be measured and recorded. And these changes are believed to be involuntary and uncontrollable, providing the indicators of this deception. Through the process of polygraph examinations, this is typically involves the measurements and recording of several psychological responses, includes the following. The first one is the heart rate. Through the use of cardiovascular sensor, the study believed that when a person lies, their heart rate may increase due to the stress and anxiety associated with deception. The second one is blood pressure. It is considered as another psychological response which can be measured during the polygraph examinations. And this theory believes that an increase of blood pressure may be associated with lying, as the body responds to the stress and tension of the deception. Third is respiration. Respiration rate and patterns can be also monitored using the respiratory sensor. It is believed that when a person lies, there are changes in their breathing patterns, such as shallower and faster breaths. Fourth is galvanic skin response. Through the measures of electrical conductivity of the skin, it determines the changes in response to their emotional arousal. Therefore, during the polygraph examination, the person being tested is typically asked a series of questions, including the controlled questions and relevant questions related to the specific issue under investigation. Then, the examiner will going to analyze the psychological responses which being recorded during the questioning to determine if there are significant changes that indicate deception. It's important to be remembered that while polygraph examinations are widely used, their accuracy and reliability are a subject of debate. The factors such as individual differences in psychological responses and the subjective interpretations of the results can all impact of the validity of the test. As a result, the use of polygraph examinations as a definitive indicator of deception is often questioned, and the results are not admissible as evidence at any legal jurisdiction. That's all. Thank you and God bless.
So the Psychology of Lying by Anel Tomas et al. Lying emerges from the self-indulgent nature of humans to avoid pain and to increase pleasure. We as human beings not only lie for our personal gains, but also for the gains of others as well. It is known fact how telling lies is emotionally, psychologically, and physiologically draining. Systematic detailed information was depicted about types of lying along with providing an overview of convergence and divergence. Lying refers to making a false statement to deceive others intentionally, often for some form of personal gain. It has been part of our everyday life and we have casually normalized this behavioral response in communicating with others. Researchers also say that it is a consistent feature of human social behavior. Deceiving is generally viewed as emotionally taxing and morally wrong. We lie for various reasons, often to avoid the situation and escape from reality. We are afraid to face what's coming for us and deceiving ourselves to get away with it. There are mainly four broad categories of liars. Occasional liars are those people who tend to lie rarely, only when it is needed. But whenever they lie, they are distressed by their actions and felt guilty and tend to seek forgiveness. They are imperfect but are often respected at being humble to at least admit their fallacy. The frequent liars are people who lie in every way they can and would not even care to cover up for their lies. Everyone is aware of the fact that they are liars. Therefore, they tend to have a very few friends. Another type, called as smooth liars, are extremely skilled people. When even they have a bad reputation at being liars, they are cunning that they would make other people believe them. Fourth type are the compulsive liars. They tend to lie even when it is not required for them to lie. They tend to lie even in the situation where truth would be more appropriate than the lies. They spend an obstructive amount of time covering up for their lies that would also allow them to be shielded against all the subsequent lies. It is said that they have some kind of dependency to lying. On the other hand, pathological liars also tend to lie compulsively and do not have a clear motive. Non-pathological lying is beneficial in some way. So what is the science behind this compulsive lying? Some lies in our lives also play a positive role, especially in our emotional development. A child's first lie is seen as positive breakthrough by psychologists in terms of mental growth. When lying becomes a habit and a result in destructive behavior, then that's when it seems to be pathological. Compulsive lying is a condition in which a person lies out of habit and sometimes for no reason at all. The most extreme form of lying is called the pseudologia fantastica, in which a person constructs stories from their past which may not even be true, all self-fabricated. Research suggests that some neurological patterns can be traced. Impairment in frontal lobes along with deficit in memory have resulted in evaluating the difference between lying and telling the truth falsely. They suffer from the inability to assess the accuracy of what they say and therefore cannot see the difference between lying and truth. The DSM-5 states that deception is a manifestation of antisocial personality disorder. Furthermore, this behavior involves telling lies without a specific reason, and lies grows from initial lie. These subsequent lies are more distressing in nature. A study conducted by the University of Southern California has found the first evidence of the structural brain abnormalities in people who repeatedly lie. They found a high degree of activity in the prefrontal cortex, which is the area associated to feel remorseful and learn more behavior. So, categories of lying that may overlap with each other. First is the pathological lying emerges from different personality disorders. American psychologist Martha Stout stated in an interview that pathological liars lie just to see if they can trick people. Malingering is a deliberate lying where the person grossly exaggerates or totally lies about physical and or psychological symptoms. Malingerers are motivated to tell lies for a specific purpose such as to obtain financial compensation or to avoid working, etc. unlike the pathological liars. Ganser's syndrome is one of the rarest disorders found in people. It has only 101 recorded cases all over the world. They construct their lies on some nonsense stories. Nonsense stories from the past. It is also called nonsense syndrome. However, it is different from pathological lying. The lies told by these people are very simplistic and approximate in nature, unlike from the pathological liars who construct their lies or stories based on some fantasies. Then, self-deception. So, according to Del Panolhos, says that self-deception is smelling deeper than just lying and faking it. It involves psychological forces that hinder us from acknowledging the truth about ourselves. We try to deceive ourselves to avoid making difficult changes. It gradually becomes a habit for some people, so they get out of control. It is called a fooling their inner eye because people want to believe that they are more successful or attractive than they really are. So what are the cues of deception? So verbal cues of deception are most noticeable and research. Verbal cues such as voice pitch, pauses, interruptions, hesitation, and response length are used to detect deception. The contents of the speech also vary with veracity of statements. Research suggests that lying requires more cognitive and mental effort, which in turn distract the liars from behaving normally. So how to know if someone is lying? So someone telling lie often leaves clues behind. It's easy to trace a lie. You just have to focus on the person's body language, their pitch and facial expression. They would be usually nervous and jittery while telling a fib. The saying "eyes says it all" stands true. Lack of eye contact or wandering eyes can tell someone is lying. It is quite important for a person to use intuition or experience when this is something suspect. So if someone is blinking a lot or sign of pressure when you're asking them hard hitting question, they should be able to determine where the pressure is coming from. Is the conversation context making them anxious or the actually hiding information? So some gestures become quite pronounced with people tell lies, such as licking lips often, rubbing their hands, or together with their forehead, scratching their head, and etc. So in conclusion, we focus on how lying is a part of our social as well as our day-to-day life. We all indulge in some kind of lying quite often. We also cover the reasons behind some people develop a habit of lying. Predominantly, the theory of lying suggests that lying is innate in nature as we move towards achieving our needs. In order to achieve these levels and to prevent the obstacles from coming way to our need satisfaction, we make statements which may be not true. Lyings become pathological when it adopts destructive side to it. Either it harms the person who's lying or to whom they ever lying to. We lie in close as well casual relationship and sometimes to our own selves. Even our politicians lie to us in some or the other form, either in their political agendas or their policy-making strategies. So why do we still choose to vote for them? It is a rhetorical question and researchers are still looking to find answer for it. Could this be a form of self-deception? Or it is a phenomena that is worth thinking about? Are we really trusting our own instinct? Is this a larger game played by our politicians to have control over us? It's interesting how we're surrounded by deception, and the real question is, do we know the truth or anything? But always remember, by Edgar G. Moon, a lie has speed, but the truth has endurance.
So I am the next reporter. I am Rinaldo Tolentino Digal. So the nervous system. So the autonomic nervous system is the one responsible for regulating mechanism that corrects the slightest deviation from a particular standard within very fine limits. Sleeps, oxygenation of the blood, temperature, and levels of potassium, sodium, calcium, magnesium, and all the essential chemical substance that maintain brain and its central controls is in the hypothalamus. So, a group of nerve cells of a brain that reflexes those that we cannot control consciously, such as heartbeat, pulse rate, increase and decrease in the blood pressure, and the expansion of constrictions of arteries are governed by the autonomic nervous system. When one of the senses detects a threat of our well-being, it sends a signal to the autonomic nervous system, which activates its sympathetic division regardless whether threat in a physical or psychological. Next topic is the general uses of polygraph. So in polygraph testing, the receptor is the ear of the subject which is received threatening question or stimulus from the polygraph. So the stimulus is transferred from the ears via sensors neurons into the brain where the hypothalamus analyzes, evaluates, and resolves the particular questions. It makes the decision for the subject as to whether it's threatening situation. If affirmative, the hypothalamus immediately activates the sympathetic subdivision and autonomic nervous system. So when the sympathetic nervous system is activated, it immediately prepares the body for the fight or flight situation. So by causing the adrenal glands to secrete hormones known as
epinephrine and neuropinephrine. So the blood will be distributed to those areas the body where it is most needed to meet the emergency. So such as the brain, the largest group, so constrict the body, certain parts of the body to constrict. Therefore, it follows to establish the chemical balance of the body. So, general purposes of using polygraph: security risk, leakage, inform intelligence, and counter intelligence. In my own opinion, the uses of polygraph testing for pre-employment screening is even more complicated because it involves inferences about future behavior on the basis of information. So about past behaviors that may be quite different. For example, of the types of questions is: does past use of illegal drugs, of lying, or about such as use of polygraph tests predict the future of spying. So second is the criminal law infraction. They are used in investigation of specific events. For instance, in criminal cases, although there are many restrictions on the use of polygraph results. In courts, they are often used to help direct focus criminal investigations. For example, a man who is convicted by murder, so robbery or thief or rape or etc. She is conducting screening polygraph tests to investigate her. She or he is innocent or not.